Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanna. Today I'm going to be continuing on my Review in a Look series where I review Studio Ghibli films and then I create a look based on the poster, and I'm getting each of the posters from IMDb just for consistency's sake. So today's movie is Grave of the Fireflies, and as I mentioned in my previous Review in the Look video, which was My Neighbor Totoro, this was released at the exact same time as My Neighbor Totoro. They were both released in April of 1988, and they were billed as a double feature because the studio actually wasn't too sure if Totoro would be a success on its own. It turned out it was. It's actually one of the studio's most popular movies. They were also afraid that people might find Grave of the Fireflies too sad if they watched it on its own, and they're right. It is probably the saddest movie in the entire Studio Ghibli catalog. That's just my opinion. I'd like to know yours. Do you find a different movie sadder than this one? But I find this one to be incredibly depressing. The narrative of this movie is a little bit different because it actually starts with the two main characters having already died. So we know from the very beginning of the movie that these characters are dead. We know the fate of them, and we are going to follow them sort of through a flashback through their entire life. After Seita, the male lead, dies, he is greeted by his younger sister, Setsuko, and she is super cute. They then take a journey and look back on their lives together. The story is told in past tense, and as we move from scene to scene, we often see the dead versions of these characters looking on from a distance. Seita and Setsuko are very young children having to take care of each other during the harrowing events of World War II. Their father is serving in the Navy, and sadly their mother dies very early on in the movie. She dies in an air raid, which is something that happens very frequently where they live. Food is scarce, money is low, and their way of life revolves around simply trying to survive. This is absolutely a war film in every sense of the term, and in fact it's based on a biography. It does not shy away from how terrifying life was and is for people, specifically children, living in a war zone. Seita is just 14, and he has to be both mother and father to his younger sister Setsuko. He has to carry her on his back for safety during air raids so that she will not die. He has to barter for various different supplies, such as food. Sometimes he has to steal these things, regardless of the consequences to him. And then there's little baby Setsuko. She's just 5 years old. She is already trained to hear the sound of the air raid alarm and is assigned to duck and cover. This is something that no 5-year-old should have to do. She has seen dead bodies. Again, something no child should have to see. A single fruit drop, tiny candy, is a rare and precious thing to her. She doesn't have much happiness in her life. The two siblings are all each other has. It's painful to watch them live and die the way that they do, because you know that there are people out there still now who have gone through and are going through the very same thing. Isao Takahata, much like Hayao Miyazaki, is strongly anti-war. He even lived through World War II himself. However, he claims this movie does not contain any anti-war sentiments. I disagree. It clearly aims to show how horrible war is and how horrifying its effects are for the people involved. It in no way glorifies war in any shape or form. When watching it, you will absolutely feel sad. You will in no way feel good, despite the very brief and fleeting moments of levity. It's not meant to make the viewer feel good. It's meant to make you reflect on these sorts of things that happen and how it could possibly be worth it. Seita also refuses to become a pawn in the institution of war, so in that sense, to me, yes, it is an anti-war film. Now, to talk a little bit about the animation, the style here is also different from previous films we've seen from Studio Ghibli in a few noticeable ways. The color palette has been extremely pared down, featuring mostly browns, olives, beiges, and navy blues. In the scenes in which we see Seita and Setsuko traveling through the afterlife, it's all done in sepia tones. The outlines in the movie are done in brown instead of black, and this is most noticeable in the very introduction to the movie as it's done against a black background, so you can see that contrast. The facial features are a little less rounded and cutesy here, barring maybe Setsuko. She's meant to look really adorable. Must protect that smile. And all of these animation choices lend themselves to the overall more mature and less fantastical tone of the movie. Additionally, you will find that there is less music in the background throughout, and the music that there is far more subtle. Grave of the Fireflies is an absolutely beautiful movie, even if it is quite soul-crushing. It sets the tone for Isao Takahata's role at Studio Ghibli and his more overall grounded style of work. Then again, there is Pompoko. If you were going to pull a double feature of My Neighbor Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies, I would probably suggest watching Grave of the Fireflies first and then My Neighbor Totoro so that you don't end up too sad for the rest of your day. But that's just my opinion. And now if you would like to tag along while I do this look, then just stick around. I'll be starting out by taking this single eyeshadow, which is a bright, warm, matte yellow, on the inner portion of my crease only. On the outer portion of my crease, I'm going to take this orangey yellow matte on the same big fluffy brush and just keep blending that through the crease until it meets the yellow shade. For the lid shade, I'm going to take this matte black on a big packing brush. I'm going to press that all over the lid and make sure that I really get that covered. Matte blacks are kind of hard to work with, so just do the best you can if you have one. I'm also going to use a smaller blending brush and a little bit of black through the crease to make sure that it looks a little bit more blended and not so stark and jagged, and use the big fluffy brush to blend a little bit more of those colors through the crease. On the lower lash line, I'm going to take this sort of metallic gray shade on a small stamping brush. Now for something kind of cool, I'm going to take this blue duochrome shade and I'm going to pack that on the center of the lid over top of the black. The black is just going to boost that color up a bit and it's going to turn into something really neat. I really love the effect of this. I'm also going to take that same blue duochrome on the inner corner and brow bone on each eye. Because it's not over top of the black, it's going to look a little bit softer now. To finish up each eye, I'm just going to use a single coat of black mascara. This is the finished eye look. To finish off the rest of my face, I'm going to start with blush, and going into this e.l.f. palette, I'm going to take the lower blush shade, which is kind of a matte peach, and I'm just going to use that on my cheeks. For highlighter, I'm going to use a white gold highlighter and just add that to the tops of my cheekbones. And lastly, for lipstick, I'm going to take a liquid lipstick, and it's in a matte red shade that's pretty bright. This is the finished look, inspired by the poster for Grave of the Fireflies. If you want to keep watching Review and a Look videos, I'll have the playlist link down below. There's also a button where you can subscribe if you want to, and if you don't want to, that's okay. Thank you so much for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. It's very exciting. I hope you're all taking care and keeping well, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.